Looked like he had damage to the right side of his car. Kevin Harvick had damage to the right front of his car.
But let's keep an eye on Kevin Harvick. He's on the outside of the front row right there. See if we can keep an eye. Looks like he took off okay, but then right when he got to the start-finish line, the car just didn't go anymore. Let's take a look at it from his onboard camera. Maybe we can hear something there.
Yeah, that does not sound good.
Yeah, he's definitely broke something in the drivetrain of that car. Transmission yoke, something like that.
Mark's caught up with Carl Edwards down in the garage area. Mark?
You know, Phil, I thought that if I talked to Carl Edwards again tonight, it would be in victory lane. No, I did not jinx you, man. What happened on the restart transmission?
Yeah, I started in second, just thinking I'd go easy on my tires and everything, and shifted to third, and made an awful lot of racket. It's, Jeff McElwain and all the guys that build these transmissions do a great job. I've never broken one like that, so must have been a part failure or something, but there's no gears in it right now. It won't go.
Had to be pretty spooky, just staying in the middle and hope everybody broke right and left around you without wrecking you.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. The guys did a great job. We got a great crowd of guys to race with, and everybody did a great job not running us over, and I appreciate that.
All right, that's Carl Edwards, obviously disappointed. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
And not so much disappointment as surprise down here, Margaro. I asked Shane Wilson, the crew chief on Kevin Harvick's car. They have been in twice, made tire changes, came back in. The left front valence was bent in. Shane Wilson said that he just simply got down on the apron, clipped the apron, and lost the race car. But no harm done.
Well, we'll be back for the restart right after a few messages here. You're watching Busch Series Racing on FX. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series Racing on FX. What an incredible first lap we had. Our two top guys in points both had trouble on lap number one separately.
I can't believe that. I mean, the 60 car, they never have problems, have a problem right off the bat. Harvick spins out. I cannot believe the first lap that we have seen tonight.
The complexion of this race has changed tremendously only in one lap. Two of our top two contenders that we're looking for to battle it out, possibly to win this race. Carl Edwards is definitely out of contention. Kevin Harvick is still on the lead lap, but he's got a long ways to go coming from the back of the pack.
Denny Hamlin, the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet, will lead the field down to the restart. Green flag. Mike Wallace, the one car, was penalized a lap for pulling up to pit. Got trouble right just before the start-finish line. Morgan Shepherd, the 0 car, gets turned around.
Another close call for Kevin Harvick as he missed him on the bottom side that time. Morgan Shepherd, these restarts are really giving these guys a difficult time. They can't even make it to a trouble spot in turn 3. Well, that's where Kevin Harvick, lost it. But a lot going on in the first part of this race. We need to settle this thing in and try to get some green lap racing in.
It's going to be a big break for Mike Wallace. We mentioned just a minute ago that he was penalized a lap. Here's going to be the very tail end of the spin. There looked like there was some contact possibly by the 88 car of Mark McFarland. But Mike Wallace, who was penalized a lap by NASCAR for pulling up to pit, more than likely will be the recipient of the lucky dog. We're not sure. We're trying to get confirmation from NASCAR now as to whether he will get the lucky dog or not. We'll let you know when we find that out.
Yeah, it looks like that 0 car had a little mark there on the right rear corner. Maybe there was some contact there to cause him to spin. I don't know if he missed a shift or, anytime you're on these restarts and you guys got guys nose to tail and there's no telling what's going to happen. It's always the 4th one back rule. Someone misses a gear about 4 cars back where you see it all happen. Right there's the damage I was talking about. I'm sure someone got in the back of him, causing him to spin.
Probably Mark McFarland. We caught a glimpse of Mark McFarland. Looked like the grill was pushed in a little bit on the front of his car. You can see there just almost looks like there's a hole.
Yeah, you can see the damage right there on the hood.
So he probably made some contact with Morgan Shepherd. Mike Wallace is our Aaron's lucky dog. He's the recipient for this caution flag. Good break for Mike Wallace. He got penalized a lap, and a lap later he gets it back. So he gets back in contention on the lead lap.
Two good pieces of good fortune for Kevin Harvick. One, he misses Morgan Shepherd and doesn't get caught up in the wreck. Two, if they need to do some more work on their car, he'll have some more caution laps come down pit road to repair the damage that was done on his first lap crash. A lot of damage on the nose and the right front fender of J.J. Yaley.
Glenn, what's going on with J.J.?
Well, guys, Stephen Wallace came down on him and made contact. At least that's the story J.J. told his crew, and has got the fender in on the tire. He's coming into the pit spot, the pit box right now, and the right front fender is indeed all crunched in. Not only is it rubbing the tire, but it's going to cause some aerodynamic issues as well. So they're going to change right side tires and fill it up with fuel. Of course, he hadn't burned much because we hadn't been able to race much because of all these crashes. But JJ was none too happy with Stephen Wallace for that incident. He said that Stephen cut him off pretty badly, and it's done some significant damage to the right front. He will be able to continue. However, we're not sure whether they'll be able to fix that thing aerodynamically. Tough break for JJ early on. At the beginning of the race, his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, said, come on, man, let's have a good run. Let's try to get the monkey off our back. Evidently, the monkey didn't want to leave.
Glenn, you're exactly right. You know, we talked, there's Stephen Wallace right there. He's the car that J.J. Yaley said made some contact with him. You know, we've talked all year about how the Nextel Cup regulars are dominating the Busch Series. Well, maybe this is one night then it doesn't pay to be a Nextel Cup regular. We've had 3 of the Nextel Cup regulars have trouble with no laps of green flag race.
And from no fault of their own for some of them, it just seems like things are unfolding on those guys. But, you know, Steve Wallace there qualified really good, and J.J. Yeley, they both have fast race cars. Didn't really get to see what happened there. But, you know, as a driver, that's your story. You're going to stick to it. I'm sure there's 2 sides. Who knows?
Got a very interested father right there. There's Rusty Wallace, middle of your screen, with the yellow headset on, keeping his eye out on Steve. Great qualifying effort, Hank, as you mentioned, for Steve Wallace. Getting ready.
1 lap to go.
Flagman giving 1 lap to go. Denny Hamlin, our leader.
We'll try one more time to get this thing started and get some green flag racing in.
Reed Sorensen, the 41 Discount Tire Dodge, in second. David Gillen, the 84 car, the black car, is in third. Danny O'Quinn and Roush's number 50 Stonebridge Life Insurance Ford.
Danny O had a good start there the last run, and he was trying to make a move on the outside, and the caution came out.
There's J.J. Yaley catching up to the pack. He will have to restart this race at the back of this pack alongside Mike Wallace, who, because he is the Aaron's lucky dog, will have to restart this race from the tail end of the longest line.
Don't you think David Gilliland's heart is pumping about 200 miles an hour right now? Restarting this race in third behind Denny Hamlin, last week's Nextel Cup winner, Reed Sorensen. You know, this guy's in third place, in great position to get a great education, learn a lot behind the wheel of his race car right now.
I tell you, he's got a good head on his shoulders too. He's a crew chief for his father in the West Series. Ran the West Series last year, won some races, decided to come east and run the Busch Series. Looking for good things out of David Gilliland. Get ready for the restart. Denny Hamlin brings the field down. Green flag.
Danny O'Quinn and Kyle Busch got great jumps on the outside. You can jump up to the outside. All passing before the start finish line has to be done to the right side. So good jumps for those guys.
But you're not supposed to pass anyone until you get to the start finish line. So it didn't look like maybe that they had jumped too soon. But great, whatever the case may be, great restart by Danny O'Quinn.
And Kyle Busch, he made it pretty wide on the outside.
Denny Hamlin continues to lead the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet.
You know, Phil, we did some talking around the garage area last night, and a couple of the cars that people really were talking about, not only Denny Hamlin, but the 41 car, Reed Sorensen. A lot of talk about him being a really good car on the long runs. It'd be interesting to see. But Kyle Busch has got him pinned down on the inside of the racetrack, making a pass on the outside. A lot different story for Kyle Busch tonight than we saw last week at Nashville.
He had so much trouble at Nashville, but we talk about this as a wide, fast racetrack. Kyle Busch already made a pass on the outside. A great power move by Kyle Busch.
We usually see this groove move up as the night goes on. He's using it right now.
Denny Hamlin continues to lead. Kyle Busch now in the second position in the Lowe's Chevrolet. Reed Sorensen maintains the third position. Paul Menard in the 11 car has moved up to the fourth position. There's Clint Boyer right there, the AC Delco Chevrolet. He's moved up to the 12th position. Started way back in the 21st spot, already up to 12. And now we've run 14 laps. We've run 2 of those laps on the green.
This is a tough racetrack when you get behind someone aerodynamically to pass. Kyle Busch's car looks really strong, and if a guy like Clint Boyer can move his way up to the front, you know they have a good race car if they can pass in traffic. They can be fast out front, but it's hard to be fast behind all those cars.
A lot of those guys that started in the back are thinking they're lucky stars for getting through those first couple cautions without getting caught up and collected with those guys in the back as we go back to our battle for the lead. Kyle Busch zeroing in on Denny Hamlin field.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin's had a great car. Kyle Busch is really wanting to make amends over last week. We saw him have so much trouble. They actually used that race as a test session. They came in the pits, changed shocks and things like that, trying to figure out what they needed. Looks like it's working so far.
See him get a little bit, wiggle a little bit right there in turn 1 and 2. Get a little tail happy is what I was trying to say. But he's probably pretty free at the start of this race, and as the race goes on, it'll come to him. If you start off free, then you don't have to worry about being too tight at the end of the run. Hopefully, that's usually the point.
Kevin Harvick, our point leader that started off this race by spinning out coming off turn number 4, is already moved up to the 27th position. He's gained a number of spots since this last restart. There's a good shot at Kevin Harvick right there, the Coast Guard Chevrolet out of Richard Childress Stables. He restarted this most recent restart in the 35th position, and he's already up to the 26th spot. There's Michelle Jourdain Jr., the 15 car on the inside. Mark, how's things going with Kevin Harvick?
Well, right now they're obviously going better than they were early on in this race. He's driving one of the RCR's oldest cars in their fleet. They call it Pounder. It got that nickname here at the Kentucky Speedway in 2001. If you remember, Harvick won the inaugural race, but he did it in a backup. Mike Bliss was here subbing and setting the car up in practice, as we've seen some other drivers do this weekend. He had a problem, wrecked that car. They rolled the car out. Kevin went on to victory lane. He nicknamed it Pounder, and he believes that maybe tonight he can punch out another victory at Kentucky with that car.
Great three-way battle for the lead right there. Denny Hamlin, the 20 car, Kyle Busch in the 5, and Reed Sorensen in the 41.
I think we would have seen it a little bit here with Kyle Busch when he had a little bit of clean air, when he had a gap between him and Denny Hamlin. He ran Denny Hamlin down in a lap. But now that he's caught him, he's in that dirty air behind the 20, and has slowed him down a little bit and has enabled the 41 to come back up to make this a three-way battle. That goes to show you it's one thing to catch somebody, another thing to pass him.
We caught a glimpse of Kyle Busch trying to duck his nose out inside of Denny Hamlin, trying to get some air, pushing down on that nose. You see him. Denny Hamlin's right against the white line. There's a good case right there. Kyle Busch just lost the front end in the center of the corner.
I watched Reed Sorensen yesterday in happy hour. He's got a really fast race. He caught those guys from a pretty good ways back, but we'll just have to see if he can overcome all the aerodynamics to be able to get around these guys. I mean, like Hermie said, it's one thing to catch somebody. It's another thing to pass them.
There's Kevin Harvick continue to move up. That's David Rudiman, the 99 car. Remember, not one lap of practice for him in that car. Mark Green did all the practicing and the qualifying. Kevin Harvick 3 wide down the front straightaway. There's J.J. Yaley, the 18 car, who had some trouble early on, right in front of Kevin Harvick.
A lot of times in a case like Kevin Harvick's, damage to the left front of his car is not always a bad thing. Those guys getting in and starting fixing it, sometimes they get that fender back out even further than it was when it started. And the further they get it out, that's more downforce. And Kevin Harvick is taking advantage of that downforce to get his way back through this traffic. But a good heads up and a good kudos to his crew for getting that car back fixed. And he's still one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Good battle right there. That's a battle for the 26th spot. That's Kenny Wallace, the 22 car on the outside. Stephen Light, the Robert Yates driver, in the middle, the 90 car. And J.J. Yaley on the inside. And Joe Gibbs, number 18 car.
Looks like that damage is not hurting J.J. Yaley too much. He started at the back of the pack on his last restart. We showed the damage on pit road before this restart. But he's making his way up through the pack along with Kevin Harvick.
There's a look out the back of Kenny Walsh's car. You see Jason Leffler, the 38 Great Clips car, drive by on the outside. That's David Rudiman, the Aaron's Dream Machine. Battle for the lead outside.
We got a spin right on the front stretch, guys. David Rudiman goes round.
We saw David Rudiman just a few moments ago in that very, very torrid battle with Kenny Wallace and some of the others. There may have been some contact. Kyle Busch did take over the lead. We're hearing